Welcome back. Now, today Dublin will host its second Transgender Pride March. The event kicks off at 12 noon and organisers have described it as a protest for trans people, organised by trans people, aiming to liberate themselves from the oppressive gender roles in society.
And joining us now are two of the founders of Trans Pride Dublin, Thomas White, who identifies as gender fluid, and Ollie Bell, who identifies as non-binary transgender. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ollie.
We're about to ask lots of silly questions, so bear with us on this, okay?
Yeah,
this is our job. We do it in every item.
Yeah.
But first of all, breaking the binary, Ollie. You joined us last year to talk about.
Yeah.
So this is year 2.
Yeah, this is Trans Pride's second year.
Okay.
And this year we decided to have the theme be break the binary because...
And what does that mean?
So it means that when people are starting to slowly wake up to the fact that trans people exist and trans women and trans men, and people are not really aware of non-binary and we wanted to sort of bring the struggles for non-binary people to the forefront to sort of give an awareness that gender isn't binary and also sex isn't binary, and really highlight the intersex community as well, because we face sort of the same struggle to for bodily autonomy, for wanting to identify how we do and not how someone else says we should be.
So if a viewer, Ollie, at home this morning is saying, are you a boy or a girl? Your answer to that is?
No.
Neither.
I'm non-binary. I'm Ollie. I don't really identify with being a boy or a girl,
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you find that difficult?
I feel like more people are sort of awakening to the fact that non-binary exists, but some people do find it difficult, and I'm more than happy to be let's have a chat,
Well, you're a great explainer, because we had you on the show last year and we asked stupid questions last year, but you got your points across clearly.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine, and Thomas, maybe this is the same for you, is this the biggest struggle that you have in terms of awareness of it and breaking down people's preconceived ideas about what it might be? It's about needing to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, a lot of what we have to do is education when it comes to the type of stuff I'm gender fluid and no one knows what it is. Which is basically where the way I experience gender is not stationary. It doesn't, I sometimes feel like I'd be male. I sometimes feel like I would be non-binary.
So some days would you feel you're a girl, and some days you feel I'm a boy?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And for different people, that means different things. One of the reasons we wanted to highlight the issue of breaking the binary is there's all these ideas of gender stereotypes and gender roles and stuff like that, and the idea that only women can wear dresses and that only men can wear blue. And
of course,
and these kind of things. And for me, as someone who experiences both, I just feel like it's that's just a very artificial thing that's pushed onto people.
So if you're going for an interview or you're filling out an official form, I'm just trying to understand how complicated life can be for someone like you, Thomas.
Yeah.
Everything is ticking boxes, isn't it? We all fall into categories in life. And that doesn't suit you. So what do you tick?
I generally tick male because it's the easiest thing, because there isn't legal recognition for non-binary people because the government is delaying on the Gender Recognition Review Act, which they promised they'd bring in almost a year ago now. They're holding back on that, and so people like Ollie, for example, can't get non-binary passports or have their college ID be in the correct name, and that kind of stuff. I tick what's easiest because it's easiest legally.
And is that why events like today are hugely important? A, because it brings the conversation into the public eye, but also it shows your continuing support, and also that there are other people out there like you who are going through what you're going through, but have felt that they've had no voice over the past couple of years. It's hugely important to have an event like today, then.
Yeah, that's sort of why we set it up. We wanted to set it up because we felt that these issues weren't being talked about, and we wanted to sort of show people that we exist. We're not going away. We're not going to sort of hide in the shadows anymore.
And you have a voice.
And we have a voice in that, and to be the voice for people who are too afraid to come out, who can't come out because their family don't accept them. It's just to show people that there is support for trans people, that there is a support with our cis allies for the trans community, and to show that people that they're not alone, that that if we stand together, we can do anything.
And Ali, are we as society making mistakes in how we're treating you, for example? Because you've no issue with it. It seems society presents difficulties for you from time to time.
I mean,
what could we do as a society to make life better?
Just stand in solidarity with us, you know. This is one of the biggest things that you can do, is march and protest with us and show that you support trans rights, and it's going out onto the streets and fighting for it. Because, you know, we did, like, marriage equality and abortion rights, they weren't handed to us. We fought for them.
Yeah.
And we need to do the same with trans rights. We need to fight for trans rights.
It must give you huge comfort, though, I'd say, Thomas, looking at because you took part in the Pride Parade last week, the main Pride Parades, to see how far that's gone for the LGBTI community, to see how much that's progressed. That must give you great hope in terms of, well, if we do the same thing, follow that same plan, rally numbers, we'll get what we need. We'll get the recognition we need. Does that help?
Yeah, it's very inspiring seeing the massive strides the LGBT community has made. Like, it was only a couple of years before I was born that it was still illegal to be gay in this country.
Of course,
Like, particularly since the big movement for marriage equality, we've seen the Gender Recognition Act brought in, which does have its problems, but it was a big step forward for a lot of trans people. We have marriage equality itself. The movement that the community has engaged in, working with like women and young people, has really made a lot of steps forward. It's inspiring. Like, Ireland is one of the easier places in the world to be LGBT.
Yeah, we are progressive.
Relatively, a lot compared to what we used to be, definitely, and definitely compared to the way some things used to be. But saying that, we also have some of the highest levels of transphobic hate crime in Europe.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask you. You're marching for a reason, because everything isn't perfect.
Yeah.
So, out of the march, what would be an ideal world? If you had a wish list of things to come true.
But for not to
an
rain
understanding, an empathy, is that it?
Yeah.
And the hate crime that you mentioned, that still happens, Thomas, doesn't it?
That's what happens.
Despite us moving forward.
Yeah, and Ireland still has no hate crime legislation.
So what are you experiencing on the streets, just to explain to viewers, because there's lots of viewers sitting at home. I'm picturing my mum going, do you know, you're happy, what's the problem, I suppose, do you know?
And I feel like a lot of the stuff that we're fighting for boils down to the separation of church and state.
Okay.
It's that in hospitals, we're not getting adequate healthcare. We're being told that we have a mental illness.
Is this to transition?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're told that we have a mental illness. And like, for me, for example, like as a non-binary person, I'd have to lie to get access to the healthcare that I want. I'd have to say that I was a trans man, even though I don't identify as that. And even in schools, because most of the schools are run by the church, it means that trans people and other LGBT people aren't getting the adequate education that they deserve. They're not getting sex education that's consent-based, that tells them about LGBT people, and that really contributes to the stigma around trans issues and trans people. And I feel like if we could have separate church and state, that we'd have a bit more freedom to sort of tell people about the LGBT community.
It's like a lot of the issues that we discuss on this couch week in and week out. It starts with education, doesn't it?
Yeah. There was a school in Greystones a couple of weeks ago, St Bridget's, who have introduced gender-neutral toilets and bathrooms for the children. That's a primary school there.
Yeah.
Do you think that needs to happen more?
No, yeah, definitely. Like,
Yeah, I think that there should be gender-neutral toilets in all kinds of places. Like, people get very agitated about the idea, but like, everyone has a gender-neutral toilet in their own home. It's just like most toilets are gender-neutral. And like, a lot of things in society are overly gendered for like no reason. Like, when I was younger, you could get a Kinder Egg toy. Now you have to get a boy's toy or a girl's toy.
Yes.
It's just needlessly putting labels on things that don't need them.
Stereotyping,
And people are afraid about young kids in particular transitioning and that kind of thing. When they hear about trans kids, they're like, they say that we're preying on them or something like that. But like, all that happens is they use a different name, maybe get a haircut and put on some different clothes. There is no kind of medical transition for young children. It only happens when people are teenagers at the earliest.
Of course.
And most people actually have to spend a long time waiting. Including here in Ireland, where services are so minimal that almost everyone has to go abroad to get them.
Well, listen, the best of luck with the march today. Hope
Kicks
the rain
off.
stays off. And you're expecting big numbers.
Hopefully we'll at least match last year's.
Right, well, listen, thanks for coming in.
Thank
and sharing
you.
your
Best of
story.
luck. And thank
Yeah.
you for joining us, Ollie and
Thank you.
Thomas.
The Trans Pride event kicks off in Dublin today at 12 noon from the Garden of Remembrance.